Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mortgage Tech Talks. I'm your host, Tom. Massimo's with me today again, looking better, looking like he's back in fighting form. I was promised that he'd look like Brad Pitt after this surgery. I don't know if you're there yet. Maybe there's some more stuff
It
coming,
might have been a
but
false promise. Yeah.
no, you're looking good. You're looking healthy. I don't even really see the swelling so much, so that's great. I was thinking this, like, I've listened to some of these podcasts now, and they don't do this like hello and welcome anymore. They just hit them with the first question, and I kind of like that. I don't know. Do you know the? I listened to Chris Williamson. I don't know if you know him, like
No.
Modern Wisdom. He does some. Anyways, check him out. But like, you listen to his podcast, and it's not like, hey, I'm Chris, and welcome to my podcast this week. It's just like he interviewed like Tim Ferriss last week, and like you start the episode, and it's just like, what's your biggest accomplishment? Like it's just boom, it's just go
All
right,
right. Yeah, that's cool.
and I kind of like it because sometimes the small talk can be annoying. Like we're
Yeah.
we're doing it right now, but some people like it, and you can mix it in. But I just thought it was a cool format.
Well, I know we have a guest on the podcast next week. Let's give him a heads up that we're just going to jump into it, introduce him later.
Yeah, or maybe it's just how you cut it too, right? Where it's like, okay,
True.
you
Yeah.
shoot
Yeah.
the shit and you kind of talk it, but then you tell your producer, okay, hey, just start with a question. So yeah, well, let's dive into it. It's first one in a while where it's just the two of us, which is good. It's always the best episodes, right? When it's just like, I know we always reference the All In Pod. They've had a couple of guests recently. They had Sheryl Sandberg on, and then they had Sam Altman from OpenAI. And I think they got kind of roasted in the comments. People are like, I don't like I don't like the guests,
Yeah.
because in the next episode they're like, don't worry, it's just us.
I know. I
Yeah,
definitely didn't like Sam, but anyways, we won't get into that. I thought he
yeah.
could have been more entertaining. He wasn't as much as I
No,
thought. But
he was pretty dry, but
yeah.
yeah. So I had some of that, and Scott Peckford, who big podcaster in the space, of course, and he encouraged me to do this podcast part of it. He's saying that where some of the best episodes where you make the best content is. He was saying the solo episodes, but this is as close as we get to those solo episodes. So, topic today, let's get into it. We're going to be talking about websites today. So, first of all, I mean, I'm not going to say what is a website. Everyone knows what that is. But what you should be thinking about if you are new broker, veteran broker, doesn't really matter. Websites, what they're all about, and how you should be really optimizing them based on your business specifically. So there's a couple of ways we can impact that. But maybe to start, what are your general thoughts? I mean, I view the websites very similar to, like, I don't know, Google reviews. We've talked about this in the past where it's like people say, I don't care about Google reviews. I don't care about a website. I get, all my business through referrals. And I think that's actually a lot of brokers, like
Yeah.
very few people out there. And there's definitely a segment, and we should address it, who are like doing the online leads and bidding and doing AdWords and Facebook ads and all that. And that's a whole business that can be very successful. So we'll get into that. But people often think, hey, if I'm not doing that, I don't need a website. And what do you think? I mean, what's your response? It's kind of a baited question there, maybe, but what's your response?
Baloney. The fact that you think you don't need I mean, even if you get 100% of your deals from referral partners, guess what? They want to look you up.
Yeah,
Clients definitely want to look you up when they get a referral. Even if I get a referral, I don't just trust it. I always go look it up. It's just the modern, like, no website means you don't exist, basically. Or
yeah,
you're a bum. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Maybe you're not as sophisticated as you should be. In short, there's no reason not to have one. And
yeah,
we'll talk about how easy it is to get them and where you can get them in some situations. But even if it's just a landing page, like for those that don't know, like a one pager that just says who
yeah.
you are and what you do. Like,
That doesn't have the about us or
yeah,
anything like that. We can get into, the different content that you should focus on with your website. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the domain we've talked about. I think we had an episode on domains. It's like Google reviews. It's like, okay, you have to have the presence. That's like the Google review. But then you also, yeah, if you don't have it, it just begs all these questions, right? It's okay, you probably still have a great business and do great things, but it's just like, why doesn't Tom have a website? Can I not find it, so he's not that popular? Does he not have it, which means either he doesn't see the importance of it, or he just doesn't know how, and so should I be trusting him with my mortgage if he's not technically capable of doing? Website's a different domain, of course, but it's starting to be more and more table stakes, right? So it invites all these questions that you just don't want, right? And like you said, Mass, I think it's easier now more than ever. We'll get into that probably as we round out this episode of easy ways you can get a website up and running, but it's kind of table stakes. What do you think of the broker websites, right? So I know, for example, my mother-in-law, she's with TMG. They give her a website, it's good. It's a templated one because I've been to other TMG websites and they basically just, take out the name and put in the next broker's name, take out the broker's picture, put in the next broker's picture, but it's all pretty
Yeah.
templatable. What do you think of
Uh,
those?
a lot of them do. I think DLC does it. A lot of,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
they all
mean,
do it. Yeah,
for the new broker that's starting, I think it's great. It's a good start. So you won't have that problem of people can't find you. Like that's out the window. You have credibility, whatever. It's typically free, I think. So it gets you out of the gate, but it's definitely not something you should think of long term. If you're serious about being a broker, you're going to want your own thing with your own style. I don't think you can really customize these.
no,
And
I don't think so.
we talk about in some other episodes about owning your domain and owning your CRM and owning your data. Like it's always good to keep that in mind too, right? Like you're probably going to want your own site. You can do your own thing. You can change the way it sounds, the way it looks. So it's
Yeah,
good to start, I guess. It's better
for
than
sure.
nothing.
It's
Yeah.
better than nothing. The kind of very interesting thing about this, and this is getting kind of back to the domain episode, and a little bit technical, but I think it's worth mentioning, which is the domain is actually more important than the actual website itself, right? So think about like the domain is like the address, right? The website is like the house, right? So let's use that. And so you buy the address, you buy that plot of land, and maybe just to start, it's a very fixer upper, and that's your broker website, and it does the trick. It's a house, it's got a roof, it's got a toilet, whatever. You're good, and that's where brokers, or sorry, I should say clients, know to come to visit you, right? This is the address, I'm going to go there. But then over time you say, hey, this thing that just started me off is no longer adequate, I want to build a mansion, but I'm going to use the same plot of land. You can do that, and it works the exact same way in that you can do it on your domain, and then when a client wants to find you, they go to the same place, they go to the same address, but now on that plot of land, it's not a one bedroom, it's that mansion. You don't have to give out a new address, right? You don't have to go to all my clients, hey, you used to be able to find me and do this. You can actually, if you own that domain, you basically just point it to a different server. That's the technical way you do it. So instead of pointing to your broker's server that served up that website that has it the way it is to start you off, now you're pointing to maybe a custom server, right? One that you own and you've kind of customized everything. And so the domain is more important than the website itself. If you're debating between the two, both are important, but like you said, if I would say for anyone starting out who just wants the minimum viable, I'd say get your domain, on the domain, point it to your broker's website. Sure, that's fine. And then over time, think about transitioning to your own website.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
So let's talk about the website itself. So I think it is worthwhile to say, okay, what does the website look like if I'm doing online leads? And then what does the website look like if I'm not doing online leads? Those are two totally different things. And I think they need to be treated as such. So which one do you want to take? I'll take the other one.
Well, I mean, I was going to intro the online broker
Okay.
one and then get you to, because you've done a lot of this for Blue Mortgage, talk about like the lead
Oh,
magnets and some
all
of
right.
that
All right.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sure. Sure.
So I guess we'll take both. Uh,
Yeah,
but
you're taking
okay,
both. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the online broker, this is something that may be interesting to people because honestly, it's probably less than 10% of the brokerages out there that try this. Maybe I'm being too aggressive, but not a lot do this, at least online first. There are some big names. Butler is a big one that does a lot of advertising. True
Butler,
North, Pine,
Nesto,
Nesto,
Pine. Yeah. These
and
guys
there's
have deep pockets though, right? I mean, that's always the trick with them.
yeah, it is. So, I mean, keep that in mind. They didn't start this way. We know Butler better than the rest, and it's been a journey, like 10 years plus of investment and all of that. But let's say you do want to approach this. Why don't you tell people a little bit about some of the tips and tricks to getting people to your site? Maybe even talk about some AdWords
Sure.
or Google
Yeah.
or, yeah. So, why would
Well,
someone
yeah,
want to go to your site? I guess, yeah.
yeah, starting with the AdWords side of things, that's less so about the website, but your AdWords, if you're going to do those, should match the website. That's how you get a high quality score, and that's something that Google really, really cares about. And what I would say about the AdWords, especially given that context I just described, where you're really competing against these big companies that have deep pockets, try to start super, super local. Like, I'm like as local as you can really go. It's like Ontario is not local enough. GTA is not local enough.
Yeah.
It's like, be like
Ingersoll or something.
Ingersoll, right? Or like I don't know if Hamilton might be still too big. It's like
Probably, yeah.
maybe like South Hamilton. I don't know. You
Yeah.
know the neighborhoods better than I do. I'm
What do
in
they call
Toronto, so
those? Tail
long tail, right?
long tail.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so Yeah, or like I'm in Riverdale in Toronto, Riverdale Mortgage, right? So start super specific and then have your website match that. That's how Google is going to say, hey, if someone Googles this, and yes, I'm putting an ad against that keyword, but this is the right website to serve up, and you can get much cheaper conversions if your website matches the ad. And that's actually how you compete with the big guys because they can't have 1,000 websites for every community in Canada. They pick off the big ones, and that's how they focus, and that works for them. And so
And they
try to
usually
start
do it.
super, super local. Yeah.
I don't know if this is relevant too, but like also type of mortgage,
Yeah.
like
Right.
entrepreneur, what would it be? Entrepreneur or second home
No, like
or new
self-employed, right?
immigrant, something like that.
HELOC.
Yeah,
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 sure. Anything like that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
These big guys, they typically are just in that keyword world, like you said, they're more general, and they're also fighting over lowest rates from what I see. So
Mm.
don't go down that road. I don't think anyone should. It's very stressful.
Well, let's
Um,
bring that up because I actually, I don't know. So I don't know, right? So here's the thing, like, do you put the rate on the website, right? That's something that I think a lot of people ask. And of course, there's a, you're very hesitant to because, and I agree with this, which is of course that there's way more to the rate. It's the right product and all the different things that go into a mortgage. It's not just the rate. But at the end of the day, in a world of split-second decisions on the internet, where someone's coming to your website and maybe giving you 5 seconds, maybe, maybe they're a little bit more generous. Maybe they're giving you 30 seconds. Are you putting that rate there? Yes or no? I'm leaning towards yes, but what's your
putting
opinion?
putting the rate on the site, you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like
oh, definitely.
yeah.
But are you saying the rate that has been bought down by these other guys and trying to compete with that rate?
I don't know. I mean, I
Oh,
guess
okay.
that's a different question, but
Yeah.
I'm because some people don't even want to put the rate on the website
Oh, okay.
because
Yeah. No,
it's
I
like,
think
well,
you
there's
should.
there's a
Yeah.
there's a story, right? And there's an
Yeah.
asterisk beside that rate,
I
but
want to know the ballpark
yeah,
I'm getting into as a consumer for sure. I mean, what I was saying there is a lot of these guys have their buy down rates, they're advertising them, and that's a world that you really have to be committed to, and we won't go down that road. So,
yeah,
um,
okay,
yeah,
right.
short story there is long tail keywords do show your
Long tail
rates,
skin.
and then okay, so now they've clicked on the ad because
They
they're in
clicked on the ad.
Riverdale and they
They've
want
come
a
to your
HELOC.
website. Yeah, they
Now you got to
HELOC
give
in
them some
Riverdale.
value,
And then they
typically.
look at
Or
your rate and they
yeah,
say, okay, you're in range of what I saw at my bank. Okay, so let's continue. Then what, right? Well, then basically you need to make it as frictionless as possible. This is more class. This isn't even so much mortgage stuff anymore. This is just more classic anything stuff that we've done on Blue Mortgage, which is, just have everything so accessible. That Calendly link where they can book time with you should be like, boom, like one click and they can get time with you. Probably a website to phone. A lot of people, clients want to be able to pick up the phone, call someone right away because that sets the tone of what the relationship's going to be like. Chatbot is good. I would say only in this context. Chatbots are not good if no one mans them as much. People are looking for quick answers with chatbots. So unless you're given and you can program quick answers, they're not so great. But I'd say in the rate world and the online lead world, chatbots do serve a purpose. So just have 5 or 6 of these little things that no matter how the client wants to reach out, maybe it's a form, they can do that and it's pretty frictionless, right?
yeah, I mean, I think the fancy way of saying that is you need call to actions on your website that are clear, like book a time or whatever. But then also, I think a big point is you can nail that, but then you can fail on responding.
Yeah, sure.
And
Yeah.
I can't remember the stat. We used to say it all the time in presentations, but
Yeah.
it's within minutes that you should
If
be in an
if
ideal
you
world.
take an hour instead of 10 minutes to respond initially, I think your close rate goes down by 5x,
Yeah,
5 times,
there you go.
right? So yeah, 10 minutes versus an hour. That doesn't seem like a lot, but it is because that same client has 10 tabs open, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And they're typing into your form and then they're typing into the next form and then they're typing into the next form. And they're going to take the first, maybe the second call. And if you're taking an hour, you're the 10th call, right? You got to respond right away. So if you're going to go down this path, you're going to make the website, you can do all the things, all the steps, you can invest a ton of money on the AdWords. You got to have the back end, right? That as soon as someone types that in or picks up the phone and calls you or books some time with you on the Calendly, boom, you're reaching out ASAP, right?
yeah.
It has to be as quickly as possible. And
Yes.
can you automate that? Like, what's your opinion? Should it be a little custom? Like, hey Tom, I see you're interested in a HELOC. That's amazing. Or can it be a bit more generic? Hey Tom, just saw you wrote in. I'll give you a call in a couple minutes. Like, do you have an opinion of how specific that needs to be?
I would say the more specific, the better. But a lot of people, like, in order to do that, you got to get a little fancy with either a CRM, which is always a good thing, or just based on the form you respond. But I personally like emails, and I think you trend this way too, that are just kind of plain text. It looks like I wrote it from
Yeah.
my phone or whatever, like
Like I'm
quickly
on the
to the,
fly, boom,
yeah,
boom,
yeah.
boom. Yeah.
Like I prefer that because it creates a little bit of a personal touch. So I guess I lean more towards less specific in that scenario. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I just flipped on my answer in one sentence there. But yeah,
yeah, I think for me it's specific but natural, and natural is more important.
yeah,
Maybe
okay,
that's a good way to
yeah.
put it, right? Where, yeah, if I can be super specific, but I go, hey Tom, I see you're interested in a HELOC. No one talks
And
that
you're
way,
in
right?
Riverdale, and it
Yeah,
is
yeah,
2 p.m. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Right. So it's the natural, but then specific, right? And so yeah, if you can be like, hey, Tom, looking forward to helping you with your HELOC. Let's chat soon. Okay, that's specific, but also a little bit natural. One thing, a kind of a cool tip I'll share, I talked to a broker who does this, is that even in the automated emails that they send out, so they do their little blurb, keep it simple, they put Tom, and then right below Tom, right below the signature, they embed in the, even though it's an automated email, sent from iPhone. You know how you can,
Mm.
like if you
Oh,
do
that's
that,
cool. Yeah, yeah.
and he said my responses went through the roof because people are like, oh, this is an automated, this is real. He just sent it from his iPhone. And so that's cool. And that's to your point, right? Where it's simple, clean, natural. That's what you want. That's what you want to have.
I guess the only other thing I'd say to people with this is, I mean, even if you're a referral-based business, this is still good to keep in mind.
Well, let's talk maybe about referral base maybe for 2 minutes because I do
Okay,
think it's
yeah,
a little bit different. I
okay.
don't know. I mean,
I
I
mean,
think it's a
definitely
different
the way your
website.
website should be. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The okay.
Content. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
content.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on the referral based side, and feel free to jump in whenever, but when I think of it, it's like you want to provide validity to both the client and also new referral partners. Like as a referral based business, you're always wanting to grow your referral base. And
Reaching out
so,
to realtors saying,
yeah,
hey, work with me over the next guy. Why should I work with you?
yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so you need something that showcases why they should work with you. And that can be your creds, that can be awards, that can be things of that nature. But more so than anything, it's funny, we're doing this right now for a couple of our products, validity from clients, like reviews, whether it be Google or just right on your website, preferably Google. I think that does help your SEO and AdWords and all of that stuff. Google likes reviews, especially on the local side. But in
For
short,
sure.
it
If you're
should
doing
be like a
something local.
landing page at the minimum that is not extremely complicated, but it provides validity. So when people land there, they're like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. I trust the referral type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's just it, right? It's just, is this a real person? And this person is, at least for what it seems, maybe a little bit better than the next person I could go to, whether it's another broker. Again, I don't say we normally compete with the brokers. Maybe you're competing with, usually I say you're competing with the bank, right? And the bank rep. So it doesn't specifically have to say, okay, I'm better than a bank rep because of this. It's more so, hey, here are all the amazing things I do, right? So yeah, customer reviews, do both, get them on Google, but then copy and paste those ones on Google and get them on your website too, because you don't know where people are going to hit. I see some people doing video reviews. That's kind of interesting. I don't know a ton of clients are going to do that, but if you have like certain great clients who are willing to come and actually speak in front of a camera and say, Tom was amazing or whatever it is, never hurts, right?
Yeah.
And people like watching those videos. And then yeah, you kind of mentioned it too. It's like the accomplishments, the accolades, the awards, and it can be so simple too, right? Like I mean, I see a lot of brokerages, they hand out a ton of different awards for all the different levels. It's like bronze, platinum, ruby, diamond club. You can be part of all these different things. And usually the lowest level is not that high, right? Like honestly, I'm not going to put words in anyone's mouth or any brokerage's mouth, but it's usually not that high. Most brokers, if they're serious, are getting at least that lowest tier. Just put that on your website because the client doesn't know any better. All they know is, hey, Tom's serious enough that he did enough to get this award that means something, right? So get those things out there. I don't think it hurts. And then, yeah, go above and beyond. Like I see a lot of people being like, hey, in my local, again, if you're kind of going that local flavor, you know, top business in, I'll use Riverdale again, right? Or whatever. Or like, hey, top business in Ingersoll. Like, these types of things. I don't actually know exactly how hard it is to get, but I do see a lot of brokers doing that and doing it with success, going out, getting kind of that local validity as well. So anywhere you think you can get a little bit and get that boost a little bit, I don't think it hurts because honestly, sometimes the clients don't know any better. All they need to know is that, hey, Tom is a serious business person. He knows what he's doing. And, there's certain things that validate that.
Totally. Last week I was walking home and I saw this truck drive by, and it was, I think, it was a plumber, and it said #1 rated plumber in Toronto. And at first I'm like, oh, he must know what he's doing. And then I kind of went down this rabbit hole. I'm like, rated on what and where,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
but still, like, my first reaction was, oh, this is legit. And so
Yeah.
to your point, it doesn't have to be complicated, especially if it's, I mean, you shouldn't lie, if that's what you're
Never lie.
thinking.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
don't do that.
But any of these awards just like set you ahead on the website. Okay, knows what he's doing. Oh, and he got awarded for it. Good enough for
Oh,
me, type thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly.
so
Like a lot of people actually, if I were to maybe put it a different way, it's like they want to make sure they're not making a mistake, right? Especially if it's a referral. It's like my buddy Jimmy referred Tom to me. Jimmy knows what he's talking about. He's a good friend and probably good, but I want to double check. I want to make sure that, hey, if I'm going to work with Tom, I'm not going to be shooting myself in the foot, right? Jimmy's a good friend, but not my he wasn't my best man or whatever, right? So I want to do my own research, or maybe just to show my spouse, right, my wife or my husband, to be like, hey, look, this is who we're going with. See that award there? Okay, we're probably in good hands. Yeah, it goes a long way. And I personally, it's more a personal thing. I also do like a good about us page. If people are really going there, the homepage should be simple, maybe just reviews and awards, and hey, this is the right person. But if someone really is going to that about us page, they do actually want to learn more about you. That's where I like to be a bit more detailed, right? Tell them about you, tell them your story, because ultimately I always say is that, yeah, they're not going for working with you because of the brand or the brokerage you're with. They're making a personal connection, and a story is a great way to make that connection.
totally. I remember when we used to look at it. Maybe we still do. I don't anymore. But when we used to look at Blue Mortgage and some of our websites, the amount of people that clicked on about us, like it was like,
Yeah,
those heat mapping softwares. We have one, and
yeah,
like
yeah.
it was just everyone goes there. I don't think you're alone. Is my point. They do want to see the
Totally.
history. They don't want to work with a logo. They want to build a
I
personal
know who you
connection.
are.
So
And why are you a broker, right? Like all those
yeah,
things, I think it goes a long way. Okay, we kind of set the table a bit here of saying own your domain, maybe use your brokerage website to start, but eventually you want to get your own website that's customized to your objectives. And so if someone's not along and saying, I think I'm there, I'm ready to go, I want to build my own, I want to host my own website. What would you say? I mean, I'll talk about what we do. I don't have actually a ton of experience on this, but I've worked with quite a few who have gone out and built their website. What's your gut reaction on that? Where would you go if someone held a gun to your head and said, hey, build me a website ASAP? Maybe not a gun, maybe a check.
yeah.
Let's go.
It's funny
Let's go with
because
that
I've
first. But yeah,
and maybe I'm biased now because of where we're at in business and all of that. But I mean, our first website I built, you did the second round. We've tinkered with websites in the past. There are tools out there, just so everyone knows, like WordPress, and then one's even simpler. I'm gonna
like
forget their names now.
Wix,
Wix, yeah.
Squarespace, yeah, those ones. Yeah,
Drag and drop editors. You don't need to be a developer. I would err on the side of focus on what you provide the most value in and outsource the rest. Like we've kind of talked about that stuff. Majority of brokers, I remember vividly building the first website that I can remember for us. And like I had the coming soon thing on our website for like six
yeah,
months.
yeah,
I remember
yeah,
you joking with me about it. And it was way back in the day. You're like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
been coming
yeah.
soon for a while. Uh,
How soon is soon?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
And I see that on some
yeah.
brokerages that I'm working with now. So
Yeah, like sometimes we always do. Whenever someone writes into Blue Mortgage, we take the domain, look them up, and I get, I don't know, 20% of the time it's like a Wix coming. Yeah, it's coming soon, right?
yeah,
And
I
it's
would budget at
yeah,
least like, I mean, even with the Wix, and if you're a perfectionist about your brand and stuff, like this is like at least a 40-hour piece of work to get it done
yeah,
right. So like budget that, and it's probably going to be double that if you're really anal. So that could take months. So my personal opinion, give it to someone else to do, and there's firms or outsource
yeah,
people that can do it pretty easily for a couple grand type thing. Like these aren't
yeah,
going to be big investments. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's evolution, right? I don't think you go from, if I'm going back to my house analogy, from the one bedroom cabin on the lot to the mansion. I think you do actually do it incrementally. So I'd say the next step up is a templated thing in the industry that's independent, right? So we work with like Roar Solutions. I was talking about Sarah Matthew yesterday. She does websites for people. So they're Canadian mortgage specific, but they're templated, but now they're not associated with your brokerage, they're associated with you, right? So you're not as captive. Next step up is probably, yes, maybe something like a Wix that you're doing, maybe, and or maybe you're just getting hiring someone for a couple grand, like you said, to build you a Wix website. Maybe the final frontier, which this is more if you're really trying to optimize and really getting it so kind of exact. You're probably doing a multi-stage process where you're hiring a designer, a web designer, they design it, you get feedback, and you take that design and you bring it to a developer who builds a whole custom thing for you. And maybe that's how you get the mansion eventually. So there's these different steps along the way, and it kind of depends on where you're at in your business. But like step 2 is like maybe $1,000. Step 3 is like you said, maybe 2-3 grand, and then maybe it's step 4, the final frontier. Yeah, it's probably closer to 10 grand. But if you've gone through 1, 2, 3 already, you're
Yeah.
probably okay to invest that 10. So I think it depends a little bit where you're at, but there's definitely solutions for any kind of budget, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But get one.
I
Make
just,
sure you
yes.
have one.
No, I think it's it's one of these things I think too where yeah, for a while it's been okay. Like even now we see people who okay, yeah, they still don't have a website and that's okay. Like they're still doing successful businesses. Like I talked about this the other week about someone who just does work out of their inbox. It's like that's okay. It's not great. They don't have any CRMs or any systems or any team. It's like them in an inbox and it runs their whole, you know, multi-million dollar business. And that's okay for now, but I think in the next 2-3 years, it's going to be one of these things where actually, no, it's not okay. Because tech, and I'm not going to use the buzzword of the decade, which is AI, starting to get a bit nauseous of it myself. But there's going to be different advancements coming up where service is going to get better. Customers are going to demand more. They're going to demand more and more and more. They always are. And it's going to get to a point where not having a website is just not going to be a recipe for success. It's going to be like an email inbox. Like when email first came out, everyone was like, I don't know about this email thing. Maybe I'll do it, maybe not. And now so you don't have an email inbox. People look at you like you have 5 eyes, right? Or
Yeah,
or whatever. That's going to be sooner than people think. So yeah, now's the time to be thinking about that website if you don't have one already.
definitely. Yeah. And even with these costs in mind that Tom was saying, like these are not multi-year. Like if you pay someone to do this, this is like a couple months and you'll have one, if that type thing. So it's not like a long journey. You don't have to fret about it. Honestly, they're kind of there forever. Once you have it up, it's just tweaking, right? So
Yeah, once it's good
it's,
enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
No, that's a really good point.
we're
It's
at
not
that
like
phase now. We just tweak things. Yeah.
yeah, we just tweak things. But yeah, I don't think websites and website design, like I don't know what is moving quicker, but these things don't really move that quick. Like you will have to do a refresh eventually.
Yeah.
Like you see the ones that are built in the 1990s and you know it and you can tell, but kind of the modern web design, I think it's been this way. You can have a website probably from 10 years ago and it still be kind of
Yeah.
relevant today. Like we're hitting that diminishing returns like from 1990 to 2010, the best in class website really changed very quickly. And now from like 2010 to 2024 where we're at, it hasn't as much. We're starting to hit those diminishing returns, which means it's a great time to invest in a website. Another great reason.
The only other thing I can think of is make sure whatever way you go, that the website is mobile friendly. I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of people do their research on mobile. They might not fill out all the application and stuff if you're an online broker on mobile, but I bet you they're on your site. They maybe are filling it all out, but make sure
for
you
sure.
get something that loads on mobile. If you have something where you have to view desktop and you're
Yeah,
zooming in, I've seen some of those. Not good. You're gonna
terrifying.
lose them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, especially the referral base. You get a referral, whatever. Hey, you got to talk to Tom. You just Google it, right? Pull out your phone, do it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're like sitting down and saying, I want to find a mortgage broker, that scenario, hey, maybe desktop is a little
Yeah.
bit more acceptable, but less and less these days. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's as good a time as any to good a place as any, I should say, to kind of wrap things up. Another awesome episode. This is one of those yeah, just solo episodes, if you will. So hopefully the content and the substance was what we promised it to be. As always, if you do have any questions, leave in the comments. And if you did find any of this content valuable, all we'll ask is that you maybe like, subscribe, even share. That goes a super long way for us. It encourages us to keep making great content like this. So please do so and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.
See you guys.